Ali MacGraw used to be the picture of innocence in Hollywood. In Love Story, the young woman with sad eyes didn't just steal the show. She talked to a whole generation. But behind the fame, her real life was much worse than any part she had ever played. She fell in love with Steve McQueen, who was known as the king of cool by everyone when her career was at its peak. What started out as a fairy tale turned into years of anger, control, and broken hearts. For Ali MacGraw, that relationship was more than just a love story. It was a storm that took away her youth and freedom. Fans of old movies are still shocked by the truths she told them. But before McQueen, there was another Ali. She was a young woman who was badly trying to escape a broken childhood. She was born in Bedford Village, New York, and grew up in a very wild family. A father lost in drinking and parents who fight all the time. All of that made her feel very insecure from a very young age. She turned to modeling as a way to escape, and with the help of the famous fashion editor Diana Vellan, she discovered a glamorous new world. That road from fashion to movies soon led to more opportunities. Her big break came with her first part in Goodbye Columbus 1969. Because of how well the movie did, she became known in Hollywood and caught the attention of important people in the business. Robert Evans, the famous director and head of Paramount Pictures at the time, was one of them. Ali MacGraw's life is like a movie story that Hollywood could never have written. It goes from a broken childhood to dazzling fame, from the alluring love of Steve McQueen to the painful aftermath. She became live proof of a truth that scared people. Quite often, the real tragedies happen behind the scenes, not on TV. Robert Evans knew good people when he saw them. He saw more in Ali MacGraw than just a pretty face. A star caught his eye. He put her in Love Story, the 1970 love story that caused a huge stir in culture. As the slogan goes, love means never having to say you're sorry. The movie was a hit all over the world, making over $100 million and making Ali a star right away. Ali MacGraw became one of the most sought-after actors of her time when she played Jenny, the beautiful but doomed young woman who won Ryan O'Neal's heart. Her love story with Evans was also growing behind the scenes. They got married in 1969 and had their son Joshua just 2 years later. She seemed to have everything on paper: a successful job, a strong husband, and the happiness of being a mother for the first time. But fate always seemed to step in. Hollywood was going crazy over Talk of the Getaway in 1972. It was a gritty action movie directed by the famously intense Sam Peckinpah and starring none other than Steve McQueen. Ali was cast as McQueen's wife in the movie by Evans himself, a choice that would change the course of her life forever. Ali wasn't sure at first. She was scared to leave her little son behind. But as she later wrote in her autobiography Moving Pictures 1991, her real fear was something else. She knew in her heart that working so closely with McQueen was dangerous. She told him, "I knew I was going to get into a lot of trouble with Steve." She was right too. In 1972, Ali MacGraw was still married to Robert Evans when she came to work. Steve McQueen, on the other hand, was already an icon and the most likable bad guy in Hollywood. Just being there made you feel defiant. As a child, McQueen was left alone and had to deal with hardships and rebellion. He was a personification of danger, desire, and raw charm. Ali would be swept up in a whirlwind she could never get out of if she entered his circle. He was the coolest person ever, a man who blurred the line between the person he played on TV and the way he felt about cars, motorbikes, and danger in real life. Ali MacGraw couldn't stay away from him. He was magnetic. Their bond was clear. It was very powerful. She later admitted that when McQueen walked into a room, every head turned toward him, whether it was a man, a woman, or a kid. He didn't just go into a place, he took it all in. Ali, who was married to Robert Evans at the time, fell in love with him right away. Their relationship started while they were filming The Getaway in Texas, and it caused a huge stir in Hollywood. They were all over the papers. Their forbidden romance made the news, and strangely, the scandal made the movie even more popular at the theaters. Fans and the press loved the story of their passion, but behind the scenes, things were going very badly. Ali asked Evans for a divorce by the end of 1972. The man who had faith in her and given her the part that made her career were shocked when she betrayed him. The breakup was so well known that it came up again as a story in The Offer decades later. Evans worked at Paramount during the time of the Paramount Plus series, which told the story of how The Godfather was made. The wedding took place in July 1973. To the world it looked like the ideal Hollywood marriage. They were in love and were two of the most beautiful and sought-after stars of the time. But things were not at all exciting in real life. McQueen made Ali sign a prenuptial agreement before the wedding. This meant that if they got a divorce, Ali could never get his money back. What was even worse was that he told her she had to quit her job completely. She left Hollywood when she was at the height of her fame, not because she wanted to, but because she was afraid of losing him. She finally admitted it later. Fear made them do it, not choice. Malibu life seemed like a dream at first. The couple went to a house on the beach and had dinners, walked barefoot in the sand, and had a small group of friends over. From the outside they looked like the perfect couple from a bright, sunny Hollywood movie. But the cracks started to grow inside that beach house. Even though they thought they were living in heaven, jealousy, control, and sacrifice were already a big part of their marriage. Steve McQueen was an open wound when it came to his past. His father left him and his mother turned him down, so he grew up tough and wary, especially of women. Those wounds never really got better, and they showed up in harmful ways in his marriage to Ali MacGraw. He was always feeling envious. The stress would rise if she even looked at another man for a second. To make matters worse, McQueen himself flirted openly, and reports of his many affairs were going around. Ali was deeply hurt not by his stray eye but by the sacrifice he asked her to make. When McQueen was at the height of her fame, he was the best paid actor in the world. He told her straight out, he didn't want a working wife. I didn't want to work for him because he was a huge movie star. She later said yes. She gave up because she was afraid of losing him. She no longer had Hollywood premieres or scripts sitting on her desk. Instead, she had grocery lists, cleaning, and the other tasks that a full-time homemaker has to do every day. She lived her life around McQueen's and raised Joshua, her son from Robert Evans. Ali wrote in her autobiography that she was the cook, the housekeeper, and the simple woman that he wanted her to be. But the part was too much. She loved him, but his need to be in charge made her feel trapped more and more. And because he drank and used drugs a lot, the house got even darker. She also started drinking too much, which made the silence that echoed behind their Malibu doors less painful. Something that started out as a fiery love affair had turned shaky because of doubt, anger, and quiet bitterness. By the middle of the 1970s, the assumption was no longer true. The dream house by the ocean was no longer a safe place to be. It had become a place where stress and loneliness could happen. Ali later said she was scared to tell the truth. She couldn't speak out because she was afraid McQueen would leave her if she did. So she kept quiet and put up with it. But by 1976, it was too late to hide the cracks. McQueen stayed Hollywood's unbeatable rebel, the man who stood for freedom and Bullet and The Great Escape. Off-screen he was falling apart. His habits had become stronger. The nights turned into times of drinking, drugs, and women. He came home angry, grumpy, or suspicious. Ali couldn't stand being alone anymore because she had already given up her freedom to live in his shadow. There was no more fairy story. A jail made of love, fear, and silence was all that was left. Ali MacGraw used to be the picture of control and grace, but her marriage made her start to fall apart. To dull her loneliness, she drank more, which made her feel even worse about her situation. During this whole time, Hollywood talked about McQueen's relationships. There were always rumors about flings and late-night trysts with other women. At first she tried hard to deny it, holding on to the hope that the man she loved was still there, hidden behind the chaos and jealousy. But rumors can get louder over time. Soon people would have to face the truth. The shame was stifling, hurtful, and made them want to connect with others so badly. Ali later stated that she had also strayed and looked for comfort outside of her marriage. What started out as a hot love story turned into anger and betrayal, with each act of cheating leaving deeper wounds. In 1977, she could no longer wait. She told McQueen that she wanted to work again so she could get back to the job she had given up when she was famous. But this was more than just a goal. It was a statement of independence after years of being pushed down. The answer McQueen gave was both cold and final. Mark Elliott, a historian, says that he looked at her and said, then we're going to file for divorce. Those words broke down any fantasy that was still there between them. They proved what Ali had been afraid of all along. It had never really mattered to McQueen what she did or said. She agreed to join Sam Peckinpah's group because she was determined to be on her own again. The ruling meant that there could be no reconciliation. Even though they tried to save their marriage for a short time, trust had been lost for a long time. After 5 rough years marked by anger, control, and jealousy as well as love, they split up in 1978. After 2 years, Hollywood was shocked. Steve McQueen was the coolest person in the world and seemed impossible to hurt. He was now dead. He died at the age of 50 from pleural mesothelioma, a rare cancer that is linked to being around asbestos. People in the industry were shocked by his death. He left behind a legacy of rebellion and charisma, as well as the memory of a love story that burned too brightly and finished in ashes. Ali MacGraw never found it easy to deal with loss. After all the lies, anger, and quiet, she finally admitted that she had loved Steve McQueen very deeply. When she thought about it now, decades later, she softly admitted, "I wish we had both stayed sober as we got older." This is the sad truth. Life they could have had was taken away forever by drugs, pride, and a death that came too soon. Ali was only 41 years old when McQueen died in November 1980. Even though they were no longer married, she still felt like a widow. For a woman who had always been afraid of being left alone, death was the only thing that could truly prepare her. His absence left her with a void that she felt for years. Ali turned more and more to drink, which she used to hate, as a way to escape the pain of losing him and the weight of their troubled past. On the job front, she also tried to move forward. In 1978, she played a part in Convoy, and in 1984, she had a 14-episode arc on the glossy primetime soap opera Dynasty. But the golden glow of her early fame was not as bright. That was the end of Hollywood. She was often typecast or even worse, forgotten, and Ali herself no longer wanted to fight her way back to the top of an industry that used to hold her in high regard. By the early 1990s, her personal problems were too much for her to handle. What used to be a safe place to stay was now a jail. It was no longer a vacation to drink. It was a link. She asked for help when she had a clear moment. Ali began the long, painful process of getting better at the Betty Ford Center. She finally faced not only her addiction but also the hidden wounds from her youth, her failed marriages, and the years she had given herself over to Steve McQueen's shadow. It marked the start of a change that helped her rise above the wreckage of her past and take back control of her life. Moving Pictures, her autobiography, came out in 1991. It was open, honest, and brutal, and it showed everything. A rough childhood, a love story that turned into slavery, and what it really cost to be beautiful and famous. It wasn't because the book made Hollywood look good that it became a hit. It wasn't. People connected with her words, her weakness, and her ability to stay alive. Ali MacGraw used to be the face of innocence and love stories. Now she had finally told her own story, which was about loss, addiction, strength, and finally starting over. Ali MacGraw had quit Hollywood for good by 1994. She chose the quiet surroundings of Santa Fe, New Mexico over the sound stages, the paparazzi, and the never-ending rumors. She began the mending process she had been looking for her whole life there, under the big sky and in the quiet of the desert. Ali rebuilt herself in silence, away from the chaos of the business world. She turned her attention to getting sober, staying healthy, and enjoying the easy things in life. She painted, took care of her yard, did yoga, and meditated during the day. Animals became her friends, and being alone taught her. After decades of trouble, she learned what it took to really get better. Be still, wait, and accept yourself. She has been clean for over 30 years now, which is something she used to think was impossible. She thought about how she used to make up stories about the past and the future. Now, though, I think it's important to live every day to the fullest. I'm very thankful. Ali never married again. Instead, she focused on getting to know herself and making relationships that mattered. Her friends turned into her rock-solid family. In 2016, she met up with Love Story co-star Ryan O'Neal again for a Love Letters Live tour. Their chemistry was natural, and it made people remember the magic they used to bring to the screen. For Ali, it was just proof that some ties last even as things change, and time makes them softer. Her artistic spirit didn't go away. It changed. She worked with IBU, a global fashion group that helps female artisans, to make clothing lines that honored traditional skills and gave women around the world more power. It was a new kind of art that wasn't based on fame but on a cause. Ali MacGraw lives a quiet life at age 85, but her impact is still felt. She used to be the face of pure youth, but now that she has been through love, addiction and loss, she has become something even stronger. A woman who is happy with herself. Ali MacGraw used to hide her own goals so she could live in someone else's shadow. Her later work has been a return to herself, a road marked not by sacrifice but by independence. At age 85, she is still incredibly honest about her past. She has never denied that there was something chemical about Steve McQueen that made her want to be with him. She also said that she knew from the start that trouble would happen. But she doesn't make what happened after seem sweet. She has been very clear that there were both great and terrible days. I'm not in any way a victim. A lot of times were just great, and a lot of times were just awful. Her story has a lot more weight than Hollywood glamour because she was so honest and didn't hold back. Jenny from Love Story is no longer Ali MacGraw's only role. She is also no longer the fresh face that defined an age. She is a strong woman who has been through fame, sadness, addiction and terrible loss and still has the courage to tell the truth. There are both tender and painful thoughts of Steve McQueen in her mind. This is proof that even the happiest relationships can hide terrible problems. Her story isn't just about love or loss in the end. It's also about being brave. The guts to look back straight on and be honest about a life that was both amazing and truly personal.